All those ships have one problem. Eventually, they all need the same door. Below us, tankers are carrying crude oil, diesel, jet fuel, and other petroleum products out of the Persian Gulf. In 2025, almost 20 million barrels a day cross the Strait of Hormuz, roughly a quarter of the world's seaborne oil trade. But the strangest thing about Hormuz is not the volume, it is the geometry. All that traffic is leaving through one maritime exit. At its narrowest, the strait is about 54 kilometers across. That sounds generous until you remember that commercial ships are funneled through narrow traffic lanes, with Iran on one side and Oman on the other. And if a tanker is already inside the Persian Gulf, there is no Cape of Good Hope-style detour waiting behind it. The other directions are land. Go around it? Certainly. Right, tanker. That is why Hormuz is better thought of as a door than a shortcut. A blocked shortcut costs time. A blocked door can trap what is behind it. Humans did build a few emergency exits, just not for the ships. Saudi Arabia can move some crude west by pipeline toward the Red Sea. The United Arab Emirates can send some crude east toward Fujairah, outside the strait. Together, the amount of spare bypass capacity is estimated at roughly 3.5 to 5.5 million barrels a day, depending on operating conditions. There are escape routes. There just aren't enough of them. Compare that with almost 20 million barrels of oil and petroleum products normally crossing Hormuz each day. The pipelines can soften a disruption. They cannot simply make the strait irrelevant. Now comes the part that turns a geographic problem into a global one. Imagine a refinery that needs crude next month. Its tanks are not empty today. Petrol stations are still selling fuel, but suddenly, a huge source of future supply looks less certain. That refinery does not wait politely for the shortage to arrive. It starts competing harder for barrels that look secure. Other buyers do the same. Tanker availability can tighten. War risk insurance can become more expensive. Shipping costs can rise. And the price of dependable supply can move before the physical shortage reaches a consumer. The irritating part? Prices don't wait for the shortage to arrive. There is another puzzle. Around 80% of the oil crossing Hormuz in 2025 was headed toward Asia. So why should a driver in Europe, North America, or somewhere else care? Because oil is traded through an interconnected global market. If Asian buyers lose access to some Gulf barrels, they do not disappear from the market. They compete harder for alternative crude. Cargoes can be redirected. Buyers bid against one another. The price of the next available barrel changes, and that pressure can spread far beyond Hormuz. The missing oil does not need to have been headed toward your country. Your country only needs to compete in the same market. Crude oil is one of the biggest input costs for refineries. When crude becomes more expensive, that can feed into gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel prices. But not identically everywhere. Taxes matter, subsidies matter, local refinery conditions and distribution matter. So the chain is not, Hormuz has trouble, therefore every fuel pump instantly jumps. It is, geography makes future supply harder or riskier. Shipping can become more expensive. Buyers compete for secure barrels, crude prices respond. Refineries pay more for an important input, and that pressure can eventually reach consumers. One narrow piece of ocean has become a price signal traveling around the planet. And oil is not the only energy trapped behind this geography. In 2025, about 19% of global liquefied natural gas trade also crossed Hormuz. Qatar sends almost all of its LNG exports through this route, but here the escape problem becomes even worse. Oil has some pipeline capacity that can bypass the strait. There is no equivalent short-notice route capable of replacing those LNG exports. And in countries that depend heavily on imported gas for electricity, that geographic bottleneck can become a power price or even power security problem too. That is why this one strait matters so much. Geography decides the route. Infrastructure decides how much can escape. Shipping carries the risk. Markets react to what might be missing next. Refineries turn crude into fuels. And eventually the consequence can arrive somewhere completely ordinary, thousands of kilometers away. The missing barrel may never have been headed here. Its price still was.